So I just wanted to welcome everyone to this. Normally, this would be a monthly support call for newbie practitioners with the objective of answering questions and for all practitioners to share their experience with the newbie. But today is going to be different, and I'm like, I don't know if you could see my excitement, but I don't get excited that often. But the information we're going to share with you, to me, was almost like mind blowing on how could I have not have thought like this before in the past as an entrepreneur, as a physical therapist. But I'm really excited to introduce and preview the Next Level Newbie program with Dr. Patty Barch. As many of you know that went through the virtual training, Patty and I collaborated on bringing you the virtual version of my Neu PT Tech Newbie Clinical Competency course earlier this year. And I've always said that, because the question always comes up, how do we market it? How do we promote the newbie? How do we get it in front of the public as soon as possible? I've always said, though, that if you just learn how to use the newbie, you develop a good sound coaching message, you trust the process, and you use the newbie on as many patients as possible, you're going to get amazing clinical results, as many of you have seen. And in turn, that will turn your patients into what Patty has coined practice evangelists. Or I used to say, these patients turn into like multi-level marketers for you, because they're just going to tell all their friends and family, and you're going to get referrals after referral without having to spend a single dollar on marketing. Although that is true, and I am standing by that, I did recognize early on that there was a huge need for a specific, more or less a turnkey program in order to be able to leverage the newbie to build cash-based services. Myself, like many of you who are physical therapists, I was horrible at marketing anything new to my patients in my practice, because I always felt like it came across as being salesy or seemingly not in the best interest of the patient, because I'm the practitioner, that's for our marketing person or our front desk person to collect the money or tell them about the programs. Or I had a number of other excuses why I was uncomfortable with this. Well, I was introduced to Patty at the beginning of this year by a colleague who was collaborating with me on bringing other technology into the PT profession that is still kind of working in the background. But she was introduced as the leading expert in teaching practitioners how to leverage technology for cash-based health and wellness services. So naturally, in this age of Zoom, Patty and I scheduled a Zoom call back in February or March, I think it was. I think it was February, because it's before COVID really hit. And so I just wanted to tell her all about the newbie and my excitement about the newbie. And so naturally, we kind of hit it off because we're both tech geeks and gadget people. And so I invited her to one of my training seminars that many of you have come to in Tampa. And so she came to Tampa like 2 weeks later just to learn more about the newbie. And that was actually the week that the entire country was shut down. I remember many of the participants came to Tampa. They were debating whether or not to get on the plane because they weren't sure what was going to happen. We heard about National Guard might close the airports down, all this other stuff. So that's when we really started getting rolling and kind of talking more about building a virtual platform for the Neu PT practitioner program, which has since been like a significant success. We've trained more than 100 practitioners with the virtual program since we launched it at the beginning of the summer. But after we finished that program, we almost immediately began talking about how can we build on a next level of training for physical therapists and the newbie, which is why the term was coined Next Level Newbie. And we really wanted to be able to give everybody the tools to launch or relaunch the newbie if you've had it for a while, but very specifically for cash-based physical therapy, or more importantly, cash-based wellness services, not even thinking about the physical therapy hat. And this is Patty's area of expertise. My mindset is you have the technology. I know you've been trained how to use it. I know you're getting great patient success stories because I've heard all of them over the past several months. But the missing link is, how do you expand beyond the insurance-based PT work that you're doing with the newbie into an optimal health or a wellness program or a fitness program? This could be for patients that are discharged from physical therapy, or more importantly, it could be for new customers who aren't even injured but want to live a more active and fulfilling life. Well, Patty is like the genius at figuring out how to acquire these patients and give them the right message, especially for practitioners who are only used to being in the medical referral, paid for by insurance type of model. So the program that she's going to just preview today won't only allow you to survive in the current climate, but it's something that will allow you to thrive with a whole nother book of business that you never thought probably was even something you would do. We've all thought about adding a fitness program or a return to sport program, but this is much different than even that. Many of you also know that Brian Gallagher is a mentor and business coach of mine and a friend of mine. And a lot of what he teaches, especially now, is has to do with having 20% or more of your gross income coming from cash-based services. Well, the newbie training program will provide those standard operating procedures. It'll allow your entire staff to feel comfortable through our learning management system that we're going to provide. So everybody's talking from the same, singing from the same book, right? But as therapists, I understand it's easy to have the intention of doing more cash-based business with the goal of at least having 20%, but it's so difficult for most of us to change our mindset and the way we think, the way we speak, the way we interact with our patients, when we have mostly only lived and breathed the injury and insurance-based model. And that's like the roadblock that many of us have. So who is the program for that we're going to kind of launch today and preview? If you have a newbie or don't have a newbie, or you've had it for a while or you just got it, if you don't currently have at least that 20% magic number of your physical therapy business as cash-based revenue, this program is absolutely something that you need to pay attention to. Or if you do have a cash-based program, but everybody on your team isn't as comfortable as you as the primary therapist or the practice owner talking about it and converting those people to cash-based programs, if everybody in your organization isn't as comfortable, as Patty's going to say, as saying, could you please pass the salt? It should be that simple when you tell them what your cash-based price is, and we're going to give you the tools and the objectives to do that. Or as I tell you, if your newbie isn't completely booked the entire day, and I know who you are if your newbie isn't booked the whole day because you haven't called me saying I need a second, third, and fourth newbie. So I know exactly the practices that don't have it booked, which is crazy. You should be using it on everybody. It should be booked all day, every day, both sides, or you're not using it enough. But if you don't know how to get to that point, you definitely need to kind of listen up. And although Patty and I have worked closely on almost a daily basis for the past 6 months to put these programs together, when I finally reviewed the finished product that we're ready to present to physical therapists out there, I was blown away at thinking yep, that's me. I can't believe I haven't been able to word it that way. It's so simple to word it that way to a patient. Yep, I made that mistake. Yep, I still was making that mistake. Despite my practice having a 75% growth in the first year, I still haven't even tapped into direct referrals for direct cash-based programs. It was always like, we don't take your insurance, you can pay cash. That's different than direct cash-based referrals, which is what she's going to talk about. So without further ado, and without me kind of jabbering and having squirrel moments, I want to turn it over to Dr. Patty Barch and to talk about Next Level NEUBIE. It's the 4-step process to leveraging the newbie to create a lucrative stream of cash-based income. All right, so I'm going to mute